Shenmue, the defining game of a generation. We're diving softly into the world of gaming to shine a spotlight on a true hidden gem.
Often overlooked but beloved by those who have experienced its magic, Shenmue stands as a testament to the power of storytelling and innovation in the world of video games.
Join myself, JustMasked, and my good friend Ams as we explore why this masterpiece is considered an underrated classic, discussing its groundbreaking features, captivating narrative, and lasting impact on the gaming industry. Get ready to discover the beauty of Shenmue and why it continues to hold a special place in the hearts of gamers around the world.
Moving on to the combat system. The combat system in Shenmue is indeed an integral part of the game, reflecting its deep roots in martial arts, of course. Inspired by real-world martial arts techniques, the combat mechanics blend traditional fighting game elements with RPG-like progression. Now let's talk about the basic controls actually. Like, players control Ryo with a combination of directional inputs, of course, and he can throw a variety of attacks like punches, kicks, throws. That's normal. That's completely normal. I mean, seeing as it's a martial art game. And the main thing is the combos, because I know one thing, like, for combos to be that sharp on a game in that era is indeed amazing, because players, they're just able to chain together and just create all sorts of combos, learn special techniques, of course, by training and progression, which is exactly what we've got to talk about now. Like dojo practice and masters. Along with that, you gain a lot of experience in like fighting in the game, because you have random encounters with these type of people. You have, along with the story-driven battles.
Now, as I have said, I haven't played this game in the most clean way. I've repeatedly used mods to give myself unlimited health, freeze the game time, but I think from my experience of playing the game without any cheats or hacks, the combat system was really good, and I can see how if I learn it properly, it would be a very fun experience. I think the versatility of attacks that you can potentially learn with the scrolls, with learning it from mentors, is something that adds character to the game, you know. There's elements of parrying attacks, timing attacks, dodging them, sweeping the leg. This game's combat is something that's immersive and enjoyable. You can see in downtimes you can end up practicing and spend a lot of time just going through combos, going through attack patterns, experimenting basically, and eventually when you get to those big expansive battles, like I said at the end with the 70-man battle, it is something that's really fun to just go through and experience, especially alongside the aesthetics and gameplay itself. You know, you end up just fighting through a horde of people, just taking them out one by one. That's something that is really captivating about the game. Shenmue's gameplay. This is probably one of the most character-defining parts of the game itself. The thing with Shenmue's gameplay is that it's really based on just smelling the roses. This game makes you take your time, spend your time interacting with the world, and ensuring that you really check out everything it has to offer. Of course, you could do what I did and just speedrun through the game, playing it at 5 times the speed, probably not enjoying it to the best of what it could offer. However, if you do take your time and play this game, I'm sure you can find an even more amazing experience, which Ams can tell you.
Talking about an enjoyable experience, I mean, we already know that it's introduced features that are far ahead of its time. It's introduced certain things like open world environment, a day-night cycle, and a detailed interactive world, which for some players around the world in the game community, it may be a bit frustrating because they have to wait for certain points in the day to do certain things, really enjoy everything around them. But personally, that's where I see the beauty. Yeah, it's maybe slow-paced and mundane, but I mean, each to their own. But if you really do appreciate RPGs, then this is the game to go to. A true, unappreciated masterclass. Me and JustMasked we're actually pretty young. We were born in the 2000s, but this game came out in 1999, which was the turn of the millennium. And for its time, it was indeed the most expensive game to ever be made, costing around $70 million to develop, which would come to around 115 million today. Then again, if you want to talk about comparison, you can consider that, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2, it costed Rockstar a staggering $540 million to develop, which didn't seem like much at all. But in this case, it's primitive in many ways, because it's from a period where console developers were still getting grips with possibilities of 3D adventure games and RPG games.
And from what I've seen of this game, it really does resemble some future games down the line, such as the YAKUZA franchise, which I've noticed that Shenmue really is the foundation to that game. And in the case of YAKUZA, it's a lot more detailed around the open zone areas where you would be exploring various different areas. I think the gameplay in that way is really special because there is a lot to do in this game, and not even just a first playthrough kind of thing. If I were to play this game again, because whilst I was playing it, I did play it on 5 times the speed, which is probably not the most optimum way to play it. Playing it again, perhaps in the future, I would definitely take my time to really explore the areas, take on side quests, and really just get to know all the characters within the game, because that is a huge and integral part, which I did kind of miss out in this game. For example, the scene with Nozomi where you have to do the 70-man battle. After that battle, you save Nozomi, and I didn't feel the story impact from that as much as I could have if I perhaps spent more time in the world. I would have enjoyed the game much more.
There are points in the game where you can talk about how special it is. Like, the world itself is such a tiny world in modern day, made up of a few residential areas, a port, a shopping district. However, the charm of the game really lies in its detailed depiction of the 1980s in Japan. Despite its low visual fidelity, the exceptional art direction and rich atmosphere make up for its technical limitations, I guess, and its shortcomings. It's one of the most evocative and immersive settings in history, masterfully capturing the nuances of daily life in Japan quite literally. Early in the morning, like, shop owners will walk from their homes or the bus stop if they live out of town to their businesses on the Buita street and lift their shutters to start the day's trading. Or you'll see your neighbors strolling in the park, shopping, chatting at certain times. You'll find the same people eating lunch at their favorite restaurants every day. The same NPCs. You go around noon and the same NPCs at the same restaurant eating the same food.
And as someone that does come from a small town, this really does resonate with me a lot, because generally speaking, within my particular area, I do see shop owners and shopkeepers go do their daily routes. They go to their shops, they open it up, they shut it down. You know, when I go to the park, I see families that I would perhaps recognize. Its resemblance to real life is pretty accurate in terms of getting that feel for it, getting that vibe, getting that atmosphere. And to that, I credit the game a lot. So to credit the director Yu Suzuki and the developers of the time, which is Sega, they did a very good job at really setting the atmosphere for this game. The story of Shenmue is really something special. It resembles martial art movies back in the day, and that's a really special part of this game. Like I said before, in the gameplay and atmosphere, it's not trying to be this epic hype cinematic presentation like some other games of its time. It's the story of the journey of a character, you know, experiencing his father's death, which is not a spoiler, it's in the first 2 minutes of the game. And it really does depict this character in a naive way. His family, his friends are telling him, this is a bad idea, you know, don't go seeking revenge after your father, value your life, look at it as a sacred thing, but he doesn't get that. He just wants to get revenge for his father. And throughout the story, you know, we see the heroism aspects of it. He's not this absolute perfect hero that gets everything right away. And it's made abundantly clear in the gameplay, you know, if you mess up at certain sections, it will actually show that cutscene of you messing up rather than just a straight replay. You know, for example, I think one of the sections where you go up against the bold, as I call him, from the Mad Angels. At first, I won against him. However, my game did have something wrong with it and I crashed, so I had to do that section again. And I lost to him, and as soon as I lost to him, Fuku-san immediately comes to your rescue, as in he rushes into the door, which is something that I really found as a little tidbit. It implies that he's always been waiting outside, and the fact that the first time I beat this guy, he didn't appear, you know, that implies that, okay, he heard everything, he saw that everything went well, and he went back home, which is like a thing that really makes me appreciate the world building and also the writing of the game.
JustMasked was absolutely correct when it comes to talking about the story, and the character development is a huge thing when it comes to Ryo Hazuki in this game. Honestly, he's portrayed as a determined and stoic protagonist driven by a sense of like duty and honor, of course, by avenging his father's death, and he unveils a lot of secrets about his family's past and forms bonds with various characters, from local shopkeepers to fellow martial artists like Fuku-san himself. I mean, throughout the game, players witness his growth as he hones his martial arts skills, of course. The whole quest is a slow burn mystery that requires him to interact, get disciplined, and learn throughout the game. And for us, as we're relatively young ourselves, we know that Ryo is just an 18-year-old boy that's trying to get the job done and avenge his father.
The music of this game is something really, really special. I was playing this game majority of the time at night where all I have is just me and the game, and the ambience of the game whilst exploring the world is... You see, whilst walking around Dobuita in the daytime, there's this really calming music in the background that just lets you explore. I usually play games with music on, but this game I often didn't. In fact, the entirety of the game, I didn't put music of my own on. I just let the background music of the game play because of how much immersion it gives you. In terms of parts of the game where it's a little bit more exciting, the music kicks in.
You got potential.
Throws you in, and it adds so much more to the atmosphere. The segment before the 70-man battle where Nozomi is kidnapped, where you get the phone call and you have to find some way to get to her in time, is something that's really thrilling. You know, at first you go into Dobuita, the music's just blaring in the background, you're panicking, you're rushing, and then eventually, you know, you think of, oh, you need to get the motorcycle, so you go to that motorcycle shop, and all of a sudden he says, no, I don't have any motorcycles in stock, and he tells you, oh, your friend might have something, so you go to your friend's house, and then your friend says, yes, you can borrow it, and then, you know, you get into that motorcycle scene and the music just... It's really exciting to play through. It's really energizing. It really makes you want to save Nozomi, you know. It adds more tension and stake to the situation.
Let's talk about the cultural authenticity of this whole game. The main part is indeed the music, as JustMasked has stated earlier on. The music really does reflect on the setting of 1980s Japan, incorporating like traditional Japanese instruments, the koto and shakuhachi. These elements provide a sense of place and time really, and immersing these players into cultural backdrop in Yokosuka, which funny enough apparently is a real place. The authentic sound really does design, and not to mention each piece of music in Shenmue is so carefully crafted to evoke specific emotions and complement the game's narrative. As JustMasked has said, when you're saving Nozomi, when you get the call and you're in a rush, you're going to your friend's house, you're running all over the town, and then the motorcycle scene is all over the place, and the way the music switches up is indeed amazing. Like, it's hauntingly beautiful. The melody that captures the essence of the journey that Ryo was going through, and combining a sense of melancholy and a feeling of determination. So we've covered the amazing storytelling, music, combat system, aesthetics, story, and so on. So as we close this chapter on why Shenmue is an underrated classic, we really do hope we've inspired you to revisit this extraordinary game, or perhaps experience its wonders for the first time.
Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on Shenmue and any other underrated classics that you'd love to see us explore. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more dives into gaming's hidden treasures. It's been JustMasked.
It's been Ams.
Until next time, see you in the world of gaming.
The Fukusan, when you want to meet Fukusan, you
I fucking hate him, by the way. I have opinions on him.